All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Raw Law Unfiltered with your host, the DUI Guy Plus. Today, I just want to briefly address the final conclusion of both appeals and the appeal saga between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now, something very, very important has happened very recently. For those of you who have not been following, you may know, you may have heard at the very least, that they both settled. Johnny Depp got the better end of the deal, like he wanted, and Amber Heard has gotten the shorter end of the stick. How does it actually play out in reality? That is the big question. People have been asking me. I've addressed some of those answers on Twitter. And unfortunately, the one thing we were not able to get a hold of yet, we may never, but I am not holding my breath. We may actually be able to get a hold of. If we actually get a copy of the settlement agreement between the two, if somebody leaks it to the internet, because it will not be attached to the court files, excuse me, it does not appear to be, that it will be joining the appeal, which kind of makes sense. You don't typically file settlement paperwork. You just tell the Court of Appeals, look, we're done here. And they'll be like, all right, cool, no problem. Appeals dismissed, right? Well, in order to understand, because there's a lot of attempts by Amber stans, who are, of course, as we all know, are much smarter than lawyers like myself who have been practicing for a decade. They're much smarter than lawyers like Ben Chu, who has been practicing for probably 20, 30 years. They're much smarter than everyone at Brown Rudnick that has been practicing law. Collectively, probably they have about 1,000 years of practicing law under their belt. Amber stans have been practicing law 0 minutes and 0 seconds, and yet they know way more than we do. So that is a fact. I mean, that nobody can ever even possibly argue to the contrary with that, as we all know. Um, and they get their information from nowhere. They make it up, which makes it even more reliable than any information out there, as we all know, once again. So um, here's the sticky, right? So for those of you who are not aware, the Brown Rudnick released the following statement. That was released on Monday, last Monday, not this Monday. This Monday was Christmas Day observed, the 26th. But on the 19th, Brown Rudnick has successfully negotiated a favorable settlement for actor Johnny Depp in his defamation case against ex. Both sides will dismiss, and we'll talk about the dismissal in just a moment, will dismiss their respective appeals in the Virginia Court of Appeals on December 22nd. Under the terms of the settlement, Heard's insurance will pay $1 million. She pledged, or excuse me, which he pledged, and Johnny Depp will donate to charity once he receives it. And the agreement also precludes either of them from suing the other. So, what exactly does that mean, and why is that important? That's the next paragraph. They're finally closing the door on a painful chapter for Johnny, who made clear through the process that his intent is to bring the truth to light. So his main objective, remember, he did this for his kids, Lily and I forget the son's name. He did it for his children because his reputation, I mean, he's in his 60s. He doesn't have a whole lot left on this planet, hopefully another 20 years. But even that is still not as much as his kids are going to have. And his reputation is going to be a reflection on the children later on as they continue to grow up and as they continue to create a career and a name for themselves. So he did not want his name in any way, shape, or form to be overshadowing in some way if there was some negative attachment to it. So he did this trial, vindicated himself, showed to the world that Amber is a liar, is fake, has been making every allegation up. This is not real. And the whole world listened and agreed, with the exception of that one, I know, the 2% feminazi pocket. We don't talk about them. They don't exist. Um, This was never about the money. That's why he accepted the $1 million. He would have accepted zero, honestly, but she's got to pay something. Her insurance has to pay something, and the insurance can pay maximum, which is 1 million. She can't pay anything because she probably is in the negative right now with her bank account. If I were to venture a guess, um, it's probably correct. But here's the important part, right? They mentioned this whole, the jury had a unanimous decision, obviously, and it remains fully in place. And this has been like not a topic for hot debate, but the other side is, they're always fishing. When I say the other side, I mean like the Amber supporters. They're like, what can we say? What can we say to like ruin everyone's happiness? Like Amber is free, Amber won, but how did she win? And they came up with this very sneaky, elaborate scheme. When they settled, this is the allegation. When they settled, Johnny and Amber allegedly, this is what they're literally made, they made it up out of thin air because they're speculating. This is not written anywhere. Try to find it, it doesn't exist. That they heard from some lawyer somewhere at some point that when parties settle, everything that happens prior is nullified. So, like, the verdict is nullified. This is their allegation. And yet, we have this reputable firm, Brown Rudnick, that has been litigating this case, that is openly saying, and I quote, the jury's unanimous decision in favor of Mr. Depp and against Ms. Heard remain fully in place. That is in writing. That is coming from the firm whose lawyers settled and had eyes on the settlement agreement, had negotiated on behalf of Johnny, have resolved the case in favor of Johnny, and would never say anything that would compromise their position as lawyers, because this, at the end of the day, this is just one case. For them, this is just one case. They're going to have many, many other cases. They have a reputation to maintain. Why on earth would they create such a narrative when it's not real, when it's fake, right? It makes absolutely no sense. So their attempts to be like, oh, she still won, it's all nullified, she's vindicated, blah blah blah. I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to justify, like, they can't suffer a loss. They're incapable. They're physically, it makes them squirm in agony in their sleep of like, oh, we can't lose. Oh, no, 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 no. Pretty much a very accurate representation if they have to like admit loss. So they have to try and spin something. So they created this weird, I don't even know what to call it, abomination. That's the only way I can describe it. They created this weird abomination that it is pure 100% speculation that is running completely contrary to the narrative. And they're running with it, which is fine. Let them. I don't care. I've literally completely ignored them at this point. But now the title of this video, right? It's very provocative. The final proof that Johnny won and Amber surrendered. What is it? Why? What gives us the final clue? Because we don't have the settlement agreement. We can't show it to the world yet. I mean, maybe at some point. Maybe at some point, maybe after the new year, maybe in February, maybe in March, maybe in May, maybe never. Somebody will leak, But without it, when we don't have the document, what can we turn to? And as lawyers, we get creative and people get creative. And I watched some of you all are doing a phenomenal job, by the way. In just like, they just keep like talking and you're just like, hell no, and this is why. And eventually it will die down. Right now it's still hot because even though it's all over, there's still the Russians have a great saying. It's called asada kastalsa. Like, when you finish your tea and it's done and it's over, but there's still like a little gunk on the bottom. It's like the tea leaves, and you're just like, unless you're a fortune teller, to you that's like gold. But for everybody else, it's kind of like, oh, there's like this little stuff left. That's the asadak. There's still a little bit of that gunk left, and we just can't get over it yet because it's still fresh. The victory for Johnny is still fresh. The loss for Amber is fresh. Wounds are still open. She's trying to move on. He's trying to move on. The mainstream media is still smearing the crap out of him. None of it's real. It doesn't feel like a victory yet until you take a look with a very, very careful eye at the paperwork that they both filed in court. So let's take a look. Why on earth and how on earth can we deduce from 2 sentences of each party? Comes now John C. Depp, blah, 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 notifies this court that he withdraws his appeal in Depp v. Heard. Same thing with Amber. Notice of withdrawal of appeal. Comes now Amber Laura Heard by counsel, withdraws her appeal. That's it, right? What else is there here, Larry? We've seen these documents. We've read them. There's nothing else. There's nothing but signatures, certificate of service on both. What are you getting at, Larry? You have to read between the lines. You have to read between the lines, and you have to understand basic concepts of war. Because appeal, much like trial, is war. You are sparring. And I've told you this before, that Amber had never had an intention of winning the appeal. It was a losing appeal from the get-go. That's why, remember the 16 points or the 17 points that she made in her, what was it called? The assignments of error. She mentioned, like, she really went in depth on only like 3 or 4 of them, because all the rest was bullshit. When you have a good appeal, for the most part, you hone in on 1 or 2 or 3 points like Johnny did, and you talk about those and you close the door and you're done. When you're losing, you throw everything and you try to see what sticks. That's what she was doing. So after that was all filed, she used her appeal as leverage to milk Johnny for as much as she could get, and that is for him to forgive the $9.35 million of the $10.35 million judgment. So she only owes 1, and she's not even paying it. Her insurance is paying it. But what is the dead giveaway? That Amber was the one to wave the white flag. I will tell you. Johnny didn't care about the 2 million. Johnny did not care about winning back the 2 million that he would owe. The 2 million that he would owe her on his appeal. She, by the way, she was the one gung-hoing for the win, trying to, at least on appeal. And she knows that most appeals are not successful. So she used the only thing she had remaining, the only thing that she created and had remaining to use as leverage. And that is the appeal itself. She came to Johnny, her lawyers came to Johnny because Johnny is holding all the cards. So Johnny is in a position of power. That's what we call being in a better position in a negotiation. Why? Just like I said, Johnny doesn't care. Johnny's already won. She's the one who wants to win now and flip the script, right? Win on appeal. So what does Amber and her lawyers do? They come to Johnny and Johnny's lawyers and they say, look, we will agree to dismiss our appeal if and only if. So basically, everything that you've started and all this nonsense that you've created, we will be willing to dismiss it, says Amber's team. In exchange, Johnny, this is what we want from you. Number 1, drop 9.35 million of that judgment and drop your own appeal. Essentially, that's the nuts and bolts. So they've achieved what they wanted to achieve. Rather than having to pay 10.35 million, Amber now only has to pay one, and she's not even paying. So in that sense, if you really want to call that a victory, that she's not completely and totally fucking bankrupt, okay. That is the one victory she absolutely does have. There's no question there that she technically in this negotiation won $9.35 million, but it comes from a negative 10.35. So that is uncontested. But why did she still lose? What is the final proof, Larry? Will you tell us? We're sitting here for 15 minutes waiting. Will you tell us what is the dead giveaway that it was Amber who lost? Why did Amber wave the white flag first? How do you know this, Larry? Simple. Take a look at the court documents. Take a look at the time that it was filed. This is, let's see. Sorry, may have had motion to withdraw appeal. Motion to withdraw appeal. Okay, here we go. There we go. Sorry, I had them flipped. Look at the time. This is Amber's. This is Amber's. Comes now Amber Laura Heard. You see that, yeah? Amber Laura Heard. This is her brief or her motion to withdraw the appeal. Much like in war, okay, this is important. When you have two generals and one says to the other, look, I will agree to a surrender on these terms. If you agree to these terms, I will surrender. And the other general says, okay, issue your surrender and I will agree. The general goes back to his camp. He tells all his soldiers, pick up the white flag, wave the white flag. They wave the white flag, and then the general on the other side says, well, they've surrendered. Put down and lay down your troops. Lay down your arms, troops. Because it could be a trap, right? The general could come to the other camp and say, hey, we're going to surrender. And you say, oh, okay, cool. Hey, troops, put down your arms. And then the other general leaves and goes, attack! Oh, shit, now we're caught with our pants down. That's a situation you don't want to be found in. So when you have one side coming to the other and says, we concede, we surrender, the first party to lay down their arms will always, unequivocally, without question, 100%, not 99, not 99.8, not 99.9, 100%. The first party to lay down their arms is the surrendering party. It's just a rule of war. You will never find the opposite to be true. Look up in your history books. You will never find it. It just doesn't exist. Because it doesn't make any sense in the scenario I just explained. Because if you lay down your arms, maybe you've been tricked. They said they're going to surrender, and now they attack, and now you're screwed. The proof is written between the lines. The proof is here. The time of the submission of the documents. So Amber's, remember, this is Amber. Comes now Amber Laura Heard and her lawyers. This is her appeal, 1062-22-4. You can all look this up. This is all directly from the clerk of court. Shout out to you, Jesus. You've been an absolute homie. Amber's was submitted at 4:06 p.m. and 24 seconds Eastern Time on December the 21st, 2022. When was Johnny's submitted? Johnny's, see, this one is Johnny's. Comes now John C. Depp. That's how we know it's Johnny's. In his appeal, 1072 22-4. His was submitted 1 hour and 3 minutes after. Boom. Who laid down their arms first? Who has surrendered first? Amber surrendered her case 1 hour and 3 minutes before Johnny. And I have this in another format that I want to show you. If I can pull it up, there we go. Share. This is it separated in the on its own standalone document, just for brevity and for clarity, so you all don't have to keep looking and flipping through two screens. Amber Heard submitted hers at 4:06 and 24 seconds. And at 5, this is all military time. Europeans are familiar with this. Americans, unless you're in the military, we usually don't. We use AM, PM, but the court system, for clarity's sake, uses military time. 5:09 and 26. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 2 seconds. It would be cooler if it was flipped. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 3 seconds, like 1, 2, 3. But alas, it's not. We can't have everything. 1 hour, 3 minutes and 2 seconds after Amber took her sword and said, "I surrender, pursuant to the agreement." Johnny said, "Okay, I accept your surrender, and since you have laid down your arms, I shall lay mine down as well, pursuant to our agreement." And that's why Johnny won. He who lays down their arms first loses. Is the loser. I'm sure you could find plenty of quotes on this on the internet. I haven't prepared anything other than but Sansa said that, well, first of all, to avoid trickery, never allow yourself to be deceived, especially by a trickster like Amber, who is capable of, we know, just about anything and everything, just to at least save face. And in this case, I think she has successfully been able to save face, at least from a financial standpoint. She has won, again, if you might look at it from this perspective, from negative 10.35, which was her bank account as of June 1st, 2022. Her bank account was negative 10.35 million, or maybe even less, but at the very least, we know that for a fact. And now it's not negative 10.35, it's zero, because 9.35 has been forgiven pursuant to the agreement. 1 million is going to be paid by the insurance company. Because again, for Johnny, it was not about the money. He doesn't care about the money. So I am happy for him, honestly, for them both, because now they can finally move on. They can finally get on with their lives. At least Johnny will. I don't know about Amber. I don't know about the mainstream media, and I don't know about the stands on either side, really, because we're trying to kind of forget about it and move forward, and it's exhausting. We all want to go do other things, like here I am in Los Angeles. I wish I wish I could tell you half the stories of what has already happened to me in the past 3 days, and I can't at this juncture. I don't want to. It's going to step on toes. Some of it is extremely confidential. It's a fascinating world. It's an absolutely fascinating world. I'm even having ideas of, like, people keep telling me I should be an entertainment lawyer. I don't know why. Um, I've never done anything of such magnitude, but you never know. I think I would be good at it just because it's a world. It's a world that I have come to, at least I think, to understand. For some people, all of this celebrity stuff may be kind of foreign and unknown territory. I acclimated to it like fish to water. I don't know why. So I am I'm very excited. I'm very excited, and I still have so much time here. I can tell you, Amy and I hung out today. We went to a bookstore. We went to go get some food. We hung out at her place, shared some stories with each other. Tomorrow, I'm going to hang out with her again, and I'm going to hang out with Luis from Nerd Report. We're going to go see a movie at the Chinese movie theater. And then New Year's is coming up, and I don't even have New Year's plans yet. And then after the New Year, I'm staying for a few more days. And then I'm going to Vegas, and that's going to be bomber. I mean, lots and lots of fun things coming, and you'll see it on my channel. And we'll be talking about a wide array of stuff, legal stuff, non-legal stuff. I'll tell you stories about LA and the West Coast in general. So hopefully this finally brings closure. And if anybody was still skeptical as to who won in this debacle, who lost in this debacle, now you finally have it. You finally have it, not from me, but from the evidence. And the evidence has shown, because their arguments are all objection speculation. Where is it written? Oh, well, we know it's obvious because in contracts and in contract law, you always like forget the thing with the stuff and the eh. Okay, fantastic. Let me show you the piece of paper. Let me show you the evidence that clearly indicates who the victor is, to whom go the spoils, and who the loser is. Who laid down their sword first is 100% unequivocally the loser. So I thank you all for joining me. I'm sorry about the late night streaming. It's 2 o'clock back home in the morning. It's only 11 here. So I already adapted to the schedule change since I've been here for like 4 days. So thank you all for joining me. I love every single one of you. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, there's a super chat I forgot to read. Oh crap, I almost forgot. Nope, I didn't forget. I didn't forget. I didn't forget. Matrix said, I knew it. I knew something was gonna happen. Uh Larry, you recently celebrated the dismissal. Why are you talking about again? Is there something new? Please explain why you're addressing this again. I think I already answered that. I think I already answered that. I celebrated a dismissal, yeah. And I'm addressing it because we have the new motions that we received 2 days ago or yesterday. For you guys, it's 2 days ago. We received them on Monday. I tweeted about it, but I haven't done a video yet. So this is the video. I think that answers your question, Matrix. Almost forgot. Almost. I was like, whoo. All right. I think we're good now. Bye, everybody.